your mind is clear, the person stops, you take the first pressure on the trigger.
Alright y'all, welcome back to Combat Arms channel. Okay, so today we are checking out another episode of SAS Survival Secrets. Now you guys recommended me this show a while back, and I've been sort of flipping through the episodes to try and get bits and pieces. Again, I can't react to the entire thing, or I can't react to like whole documentaries, or else I'll get copyright claimed. So I'm sort of taking it piece by piece. So today we are checking out the SAS and how they operate behind enemy lines, which is not really something that I'm familiar with. I'm familiar with like reconnaissance stuff, but it's not necessarily like the long range sort of reconnaissance. So this should be really good. I'll stop talking and we'll get right into it because I'm very excited, and it's also going to be a little bit longer. So let's do it.
The patrol now tap a further 20 kilometers southeast to the enemy base for phase 3 of the mission. Upon finding a good OP position, they must first construct a lying up point, or LUP.
Man, I love the aesthetic.
This mini base provides support for the men in the forward position. The patrol will split into pairs. One team will rest and eat in the lying up position, whilst the other observes the target from the OP.
Okay. So it's very similar in U.S. Army reconnaissance. So usually you'll establish your hide site, which is kind of like where the headquarters is going to be. So if you're pushing out 15, 20 clicks or what have you, you're going to establish your hide site, which is where the reconnaissance, communications, and leadership is generally going to be. And then from there, you can send out like groups of 2 or 3 into the surveillance site or the observation post.
Rotate in shifts. The LUP is constructed with defense in mind, with several bug-out routes should the patrol be compromised and they need to get away quickly.
Nice camouflage.
It's designed so that each patrol member has a camouflaged scrape in which to lie up. First, the surface layer of turf is sliced away and kept to be used as camouflage material. All the spoil from the LUP construction has to be put in sandbags and painstakingly hidden so as to conceal any signs of activity.
Yeah, attention to detail.
Each hole in the LUP is lined with grass to help keep it dry.
Okay.
The positions are further concealed with a roof of chicken wire stuffed with grass and surrounding vegetation.
Yeah, to keep it dry for our like foxholes usually, we would put like pine cones at the bottom. Those are really, really solid just because, again, it keeps your feet from going into the wet water because you'll generally release some moisture when you dig that deep.
Once the LUP is complete, it will offer concealment day or night for patrol members.
Wow. It's not comfortable, but it works really well.
Over the next few nights, the patrol will construct the observation post. The OP is built on similar lines to the LUP, but it's more like a trench, being deeper by around 4.5 feet. The 2 snipers in the team, Eddie and Pete, take it in turns to occupy the OP. Mac and Johnny act as their spotters.
Legends, man.
Now the OP is set, the team have to observe a hard routine.
The Arctic Warfare, man, that's a beautiful rifle.
They must gather as much intelligence as possible and stay alert to the possible arrival of the general.
They're pretty close, but their camouflage is on point.
Blue 4 before. 2 up. Yeah, got them. Yep.
For the sake of our fictional war story, and in order to nip a conflict in the bud and save thousands of lives, headquarters have ordered Eddie's patrol to use any opportunity to take out the enemy general.
Nice. Okay. Now, generally, you won't always operate with that much like leniency. Again, these guys are doing a very different job from just standard reconnaissance, so that makes a lot of sense that you'd see the distinction. But yeah, it allows you to be a little bit more free with what you're doing, especially if you have the snipers with you. Yeah, those guys are a very, very awesome capability. But a lot of times with reconnaissance, if you can get like a good grid or something, you could even like send in some air support if you have it to drop some bombs. But I don't think that's going to be so practical in what these guys are doing.
Now all that's left is for the team to wait. Living in cramped conditions, eating the same rations and whispering all the time whilst remaining alert requires a tremendous amount of discipline. It's vital to have this kind of self-discipline if you hope to survive in the SAS.
Look at that.
Occupying an OP position, especially from a spotter or a sniper's point of view, is a very long and arduous task. You've constantly got to be alert. watching what's happening down in the enemy position, you'll notice behind us there's no silhouette.
Exactly.
Camouflage it so that we're very low to the ground and our outline's broken up with the foliage behind us.
Yeah, that's a very good point. Yeah, so silhouetting is an easy thing, especially if you're moving around. If someone sees like a silhouette moving around, that's pretty much game over. So they thought it out very, very well. And even with the amount of concealment that they have, which is very minimal, they're doing a really good job with that camouflage.
Psst, Eddie, vehicle coming. Okay, it's a green 4x4, 2 up. They've got something in the back. Barrels, they've got barrels in the back.
Intelligence gathering. Enemy positions. Where are they located? How many enemies there? What is their morale like? Are they disciplined? Are they less disciplined at certain periods of time? In other words, when the officer clears off, does their discipline drop? What are they like at night? The patrolling tactics. How do they patrol? All of this information is vital. Even though you may think it is the smallest thing, it can mean a matter of life or death for a soldier. This information must get sent back to the headquarters by radio. They can then work out a plan to take out that enemy position.
Those are really, really good points. Have like an MG42 or something. Okay, so this is really cool. Again, it is very accurate as far as like you're going to be waiting sometimes days for anything to happen. And again, when something does start to develop, you need to be able to pass that up immediately because again, these guys are doing a different mission because they are like they have more of that commando mindsets, but the reconnaissance is going to be the same regardless of where you are and what sort of unit you're doing. So you need to be able to pass that stuff up as quickly and as concisely as possible because again, you don't want to be making too much chatter on the radio. And sometimes you might also have certain windows of when you're actually doing the communication. So you're not always going to be able to pass this stuff up. So you need to be able to take some good notes or take some really solid mental notes as well. So yeah, it's really cool seeing how they're doing. And again, he made some really solid recommendations as far as like checking out the morale, seeing how their discipline shifts throughout the day or whenever the leadership moves around. That's something that even I haven't really thought about or thought to look for.
Closed.
Use a standard practice of color coding different areas of the target to avoid confusion.
Okay, she's stopped. She's out, she's opened the boot. 2 guys coming out the building. They're taking some
That's
stuff
a cool
out
way
the
to
boot.
do it, though.
Not sure what it is. Guards still back in their position. Psst, Eddie. Green 4x4. Driver. Somebody in the back.
Go on.
Oops. Getting activity at the guard, mate. The guard's moving up. Yeah.
Oh, snap.
This could be your man, mate. They've been waved through by the guards heading towards the house. Okay, he's pulling up to stop him. Driver's getting out.
So another thing with this is if you know the SOPs or the standard operating procedures, because generally you'll start to develop that picture long enough if you're doing the reconnaissance long enough, or if you have good intelligence, you can sort of see how they might start to change up their posture based off of individuals or certain VIPs coming to the area. So it seems like that's what they're doing right here, and they're pretty keyed on to what's about to happen.
Opening the door.
Seems important.
It's your man that's X-ray.
At this moment now, you're about to take the most important shot of your life. You could be in that OP for 3 weeks, 4 weeks. You're cold, you're stiff, but you've got to keep yourself alert. Keep the circulation going when you're in that position. Being a sniper might sound or feel like a very clinical way of taking someone out. It is, but it is also a very, very important tactic. This person who you're going to kill could be very, very important to future troop movements. Your mind is clear, the person stops, you take the first pressure on the trigger. At this point, you wait.
Got him.
The enemy might not know where you've shot from.
That's a good point, yeah.
If they don't, then there'll be total confusion. If they do locate where you've shot from, you're obviously going to return fire. Try and take as many of them out as you can.
All right, I wasn't expecting that, but let's see it.
During this phase, the other 2 members of your patrol will be getting their gear together, ready to give you assistance, because they know we've got to move fast.
Oh, so if they don't have communications with the guys that are back in the, I think they call it the LUP, then it must be like it must be worse for the dudes in the LUP, because all of a sudden they hear the shot ring out. They might not necessarily know that it was, their sniper taking the shot. So all of a sudden they're trying to figure out what's going on. And now you got all these baddies. Probably they're going to start sending some patrols out to this area, and now they're going to start engaging. So all of a sudden things start cracking off. So again, it's kind of hard to really fight that complacency, especially in a job like that, but it's definitely something you need to do, and you definitely need disciplined people to do it. Oh snap, they got the laws and stuff.
Contact with the enemy means compromise. It's time to abandon the OP. Eddie disables the sniper rifle by throwing away the bolt, and the patrol make a break for it.
Okay.
The team are now on the run, and although they initially break contact with the enemy HQ, the countryside will soon be crawling with hostile troops.
No doubt.
Things are about to go from bad to worse for Eddie's patrol. They are 50 kilometers from their own lines, and now face the virtual certainty of continuing sustained enemy contact.
Oh, dude, that's got to be brutal.
Contact drills. These were developed by the SAS over many years and in many theatres, and is an integral part of the training of any SAS soldier. It allows us to fan out into formation and put down maximum firepower to allow you to pull out of a situation which you feel is too hot for you to handle.
Yes, okay, so this is really, really cool. So this is the exact same stuff that we learn in the basic, like when you're doing basic infantry training, this is like your bread and butter as far as like your fundamentals. Whenever you take contact, you need to be able to move your unit, whether it be a team or a squad or a platoon. You need to be able to move it really quickly based off of the enemy situation. So if the enemy is near, you're going to do something. If the enemy is far, you're going to do something slightly different. So it's all based off of that, and also how many enemy there are, how many weapons they have, what sort of weapons they have. So it's really dependent on the leader to be able to see that and then adjust their formation really quickly based off of what they see. All right, let's see how the SAS do it.
At this stage here, my lead scout will spot the enemy patrol. He will immediately put fire down. The rest of the patrol will move into fire positions.
Oh, dang, that's close. Ooh.
When we've got the enemy's heads down, we will then start pulling back as 2 teams. You will notice that at no time does anyone move backwards unless there's fire coming down from the other 2 guys.
Yep. Nice.
Whenever we break contact with the enemy, in other words, when we've lost sight of them, patrol commander will then give the word break. We'll break off the contact and move off on the patrol in a different direction.
Yes.
With a contact right or a contact left, the procedure is exactly the same. For a contact left, we do not have to fan out. We're already in that line. So we immediately turn to the area of threat, put down maximum firepower.
Hell yeah.
When we've got the enemy's heads down again, we'll then start pulling back in our buddy-buddy system and break off the contact.
So what you can kind of see there, they're sort of peeling, almost like, it's kind of hard to explain, kind of like a zipper, but they're sort of peeling back. Now you can use that, but generally if they're directly parallel to you, it might be a little bit easier to bound backwards as opposed to peeling sideways. Because if you're peeling sideways, they can sort of also do the same thing, and it's just going to be like a never-ending thing. But if you're sort of parallel like this, you can start bounding backwards, because again, you just want to start making space. If you have the amounts of firepower, or maybe like if you have the aggression and the weapons or the upper hand, you can maybe assault through. But generally with a reconnaissance unit or a unit like this, you're not going to want to do that, because you don't know the enemy situation. It could be a small patrol, and right over the hill, all of a sudden they have like an entire platoon or a company. So generally speaking, you're gonna want to play it safe and bound backwards, which is what they're doing here. And it's really cool, because it's exactly what we are taught.
Contact rear. This is when the tail end Charlie spots the enemy behind us.
The most confusing, no doubt.
Contact rear. We'll once again fan out exactly the same as we did for the contact front. Lay down maximum fire and pull back as we did in the previous contact.
There we go. Yeah.
At the beginning of the
Okay.
mission.
So that's pretty much all we're going to be watching today. So again, it's really, really cool. Like, these videos are pretty old, and it's just awesome to see how the SAS are taught these things. Well, they're not really taught. They develop these tactics, which is even cooler. And then it finds its place over in like the normal U.S. Marine Corps and U.S. Army infantry. Because again, those are like pretty much your bread and butter tactics. Those are the fundamentals that you need to perfect as an infantryman before you start moving on to some of the more sexier tactics. So it's really cool to see that they're developing stuff that, you know, holds for decades. Not even just with this patrolling, but also with reconnaissance, with CQB, with gear in general. They have like, I don't know, they just have a really good way of innovating. So it's just really awesome to check out these videos. I'm not really sure how old this series is, to be honest. It seems relatively old, as far as maybe like early 2000s or earlier than that. So I don't know, it's awesome. I'm really glad you guys recommended this series, because we don't really have stuff like this in the US. We don't really have cool series like this in the US. So it's really awesome to see, especially from the SAS, because again, they're developing these awesome tactics. So I don't know, I'm just getting like really passionate about it, because it's so cool to see. And it's cool to see how it maintains its form over all these decades, as far as the fundamentals at least. Because again, technology is going to get pretty crazy, but the fundamentals are definitely going to stay the same. So yeah, really, really awesome video. Now, if you guys were trained the same thing, put it down in the comment section. If you guys were trained something slightly different, let me know how you would piece apart some of this stuff. Because again, it is the fundamentals. There's certain nuances you can do based off of your units or your equipment or your mission. So I'd love to hear how you guys do it differently. But again, these are the fundamentals. They were made by the SAS, and the SAS definitely know what they're doing. So really awesome. If you guys have anything else to share in the comment section, by all means, I'm more than willing to check it out. I love reading the comments. Some of them are pretty funny, and you guys also provide some really solid insight. And I really, really love reading the comments. So whatever you guys want to say, put it down in the comment section. Now, you guys can see my, you can kind of see. So my patch wall here, it's got some gaps. So if you guys have anything to send from any militaries, I think we're pretty good on Finland and Canada and the UK. But if you guys want to send some stuff, maybe something that you got during your military career, by all means, I have my P.O. box down in the video description. So if you guys are willing to do that, I would really appreciate it. I love getting stuff from the fans, and I especially love displaying it for everybody else to check out. Because again, it's sort of like a piece of history, and it's awesome to have all this personal stuff that you guys sort of used or wore during your military service. So thank you for that. Thank you again for supporting the channel. I really do appreciate it. And thank you again for the awesome recommendations. But hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. That is it for this one. So I will see you all in the next one.